Well-known author, investment banker, consumer advocate, analyst, trader. Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street.
You want answers?
Exposing the lies and myths that the big brokerage firms, the mainstream press, and the government are pushing to keep Americans away from financial freedom.
You can't handle the truth.
Bringing America the truth about what really happens in the financial world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to indulge in fantasy, but in political and economic reality.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Yeah, welcome everybody. All fired up for today's program, and I was thinking about this. We need to talk about proper investing, portfolio management. Talk about the volatility that's been in the markets as of late, and I kind of want to put it in a proper perspective. And the funny thing is, how my mind sub-references. I went to the 1980s film Beverly Hills Cop, and there was a scene in Beverly Hills Cop where Axel Foley is, explaining to Rosewood and Taggart that he was snooping around Victor Maitland's warehouse, and he finds coffee grounds, and the police officers they don't know what that means, and he's like, "You guys just got your badges and you went to the police academy, but you don't know anything," and how coffee grounds are used to hide the smell of drugs from the dogs. Knowledge versus experience. Knowledge versus experience. When it comes to proper portfolio preparation, portfolio management, investing, whatever you want to call it, this is what separates the people who win from the people who lose. I can go back. I've told this story before. One of the most difficult times in the history of Markowski Investments for us happened to be during the dot-com boom. I'm going to be honest with you. There was points in time during the dot-com run-up that I wanted to call it a day. Because all of a sudden, people were just much brighter than we were. Sell all these companies. I want to own nothing but tech. And we refused to change our portfolio allocation. And we told people, hey, listen, if you want to go ahead and do all of this stuff, do it elsewhere. And we lost. That's where we lost business. Doing well for our clients, doing fantastic, but we lost business because we wouldn't give in. We wouldn't give in. All these investors out there believed it. They had knowledge, right? They knew what it took to be successful because their buddies on the golf course had a tip on this .com company. And this happens during every bubble. That was my first experience with a real bubble. That was my first experience with my first interaction with the bubble. That was it. You could talk a look at the run up in real estate, right? 2000 actually started really 2005, 2006 into 2007. All of a sudden, everybody was much brighter than we were. And, wanted to sell. Many people selling out of their 401ks so they can buy pre-construction condos. Because, again, they had knowledge that real estate, knowledge, and can you see me? Can you hear me doing the air quotes? Okay? They had knowledge that real estate could never go down. There's a line in Charles Mackay's book, The Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds. Essential is the understanding of the role psychology plays in the formation and expansion of financial manias. From the 1711 South Sea bubble to the 2000 dot-com crash, all bubbles form from a similar panic by investors to chase ongoing speculation. It's a great column about this past week written by Lance Roberts. And he brought up a cover in his column. He showed a picture of a cover that I'll never forget. I'll never forget this cover. It was the cover of Forbes. It was some kid on the cover of Forbes magazine. I don't know, 1997, 1998. And the title of it was "A Bunch of Kids Are Tormenting Wall Street." Sound familiar? Sound familiar to the whole meme stock thing from not too long ago? High-tech renegades score big bucks by making their own NASDAQ markets. Yeah, again, back then, I lived in downtown New York at that point in time. There were many floors taken up in office buildings down there with people going in with their money. They would get levered up. They would get levered up, meaning that the firm would lend them money based upon what they have, and they would just sit there and trade all day. Sit there and trade all day. What happened to all those people? Huh? What happened to them all? Did they all retire? Did they all retire? Did they all have mega yachts that are cruising around the Mediterranean right now? No. The overwhelming majority of them lost. All of these wizards are smart with all their knowledge. I'm gonna go back to the year 2000. Go back to the year 2000. Jim Cramer, yes, Mad Money. Winners of the New World. Sounds good, right? It's great. Oh, we're going to do this on television. You got to put something together. You got to produce for TV. Various different companies that he had. 724 Solutions was $240 when he said it was Winners of the New World. It's down 99%. Ariba, $173. It's now down 74%. InfoSpace down 99%. Exodus down 100%. Digital Island down 94%. Inktomi down 99%. Sonera down 81%. VeriSign down 75%. I can go on and on and on. This was his list. This is Winners of the New World. Year 2000. I wrote a column back in January of 1999, and I looked it up today. Again, the funny thing is, after I write columns, right after I write them and I put them out there, I kind of forget what I wrote, but they come back to me later on, depending upon what's going on in the world, and I remember, oh yeah, I wrote that. January 1999. There's a Greek myth about a young boy named Icarus who receives a pair of magic wings. These wings will allow him to fly like a bird. Before Icarus takes off on his first flight, his father warns him not to fly too high and close to the sun, for his wings will catch fire from the sun and he will crash and die. The boy lets the warning go one ear and out the other, takes off. He soars higher and higher, paying no attention to the warning his father gave him. All of a sudden, his wings catch fire. The boy crashes and burns. I wrote an article prior to Icarus in the stock market, this column, talking about the direction in the markets and the frothiness in the markets. Again, late 1990s. Not popular. I wasn't popular back then. I didn't know what I was talking about. New paradigm, right? Oh, my God. All sorts of angry responses. I'm going on radio shows and TV shows at the time, and I was the whipping boy. People, you have to be careful out there. You do. You have to protect yourself when it comes to rising markets. Knowledge versus experience, right? Knowledge versus experience. Rising prices. It doesn't necessarily indicate of a market mania, okay? But again, there's nothing wrong with taking a profit. There's nothing wrong with taking a profit and rotating assets and understanding the fundamentals of the companies you own. And there's a lot of things out there right now that would indicate that the markets are getting a little bit frothy. Surge in IPOs, record increase in these stupid SPAC things, on and on and on. Margin, debt, the whole idea, and it's now coming up again. This time it's different. Fed put, all that good stuff. All of these issues, the reality is that they're not new. Not new. They've been around in all these other manias and panics that have happened in the past. History proves, unless you are careful, unless you allocate assets properly, it's going to end badly. It's going to end badly. Let me tell you what down markets do. Okay? I'll tell you what down markets do. They give you experience. They give you experience. We have certain sets of rules. Certain sets of rules that we deal with when it comes to investing, and we don't deviate. We don't deviate. We don't go off the path ever. Ever. Howard Marks penned a great piece on risk. If I ask you what's the risk in investing, you would answer the risk of losing money, right? I could lose money. But actually, there are two risks in investing. One is to lose money. The other's what? Opportunity risk. You miss out on an opportunity. Now, you can eliminate either one, but you can't eliminate both at the same time. So the question is how you're going to position yourself versus these two risks. Straight down the middle, more aggressive, more defensive. Again, this is where rules come into play. Do you understand? Most investors, unfortunately, are emotional. They buy at the top. And they also sell when everything is going down. Again, I've dealt with this when the dot-com collapse. I dealt with this during the financial crisis. I dealt with it during COVID with people. Freaking out. Again, you go back to the financial crisis as one of the greatest periods of time in accumulating assets on sale that I have ever seen. I'll probably never see anything like that again. There's an old Wall Street axiom which states, a man with money meets a man with experience. The man with experience leaves with the money, while the man with money leaves with experience. That is the truth about markets and investing. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to talk a little about experience. We're going to talk about our rules and what we do here. Again, I want to invite each and every one of you out there to take advantage of what we do. Our personal CFO program is right there at our website at watchdogonwallstreet.com. It's one word, watchdogonwallstreet.com. Sign up for that. Sign up for our podcasts, account repair kits, all sorts of great stuff there at the site. watchdogonwallstreet.com, or give us a call, 800-471-5984. We'll be back.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Lance Roberts, in his column this past week, he grabs one from another great investor that we've talked about here on the program, Ray Dalio. And Ray Dalio said the biggest mistake investors make is to believe that what happened in the recent past is likely to persist. They assume that something that was a good investment in the recent past is still a good investment. Typically, high past returns simply imply that an asset has become more expensive and is a poorer, not better investment. Anyway, I want to get into our rules. Rules that you need to follow if you want to be successful. I wrote about this somewhat 15, 16 years ago. I had a column out titled Rules of the Road. And we've added to it to some degree. But the first four base rules are simple. Compounding. Compounding is the royal road to riches. It is. Compounding is a royal road to riches. Play with a compounding calculator. Number two, This is a real important one. Okay? Don't lose money. Don't lose money. You need to protect your downside. Don't don't bring upon ridiculous risk into your portfolio. It doesn't make any sense. Which again will translate into rule number 3, invest. Invest like you already have tens of millions, if not billions of dollars. Do you think guys like Ray Dalio, do you think Warren Buffett, do you think smart investors out there, do you think that our clients get bent out of shape when the markets move and lightning quick directions in one way or another? It's a blip. It's a day. It's done. It's over. It doesn't matter. Because, again, you're investing like you're already there. And, of course, again, this is simple, but funny thing is most people can't adhere to it. Buy assets on sale. Look for value. Again, it goes back to the old Benjamin Graham, intelligent investor, intrinsic value. Buying below the intrinsic value, selling above the intrinsic value. I like simplicity. I do. And I'm talked about this in the program. Laws, rules, regulations. They need, in my opinion, they need to be straightforward, black and white. Black and white. Now, my first 4 rules here, okay, maybe I was being a little bit too simplistic. The old saying that successful investing is like getting oneself into great shape, right? What is that? Remember that saying, oh, it's simple, but it's not easy. So I'm going to expand upon these original 4 rules, and I want to talk about our process. I want you to get into our minds in what we do. First and foremost, it's not important. This is, you got to get this. Everybody's got to do this head. It's not important to be right in the here and now, but it is important to be right eventually. I wrote a column. Kind of going back to my columns that keep popping in my head. This is back in the 1990s, entitled "Understanding Enron." And I basically didn't understand Enron. I didn't understand how it was Fortune magazine's most innovative company 5 years in a row. I didn't understand trading bandwidth. I didn't understand a lot about Enron. And after I wrote the column, the stock proceeded to go higher until it didn't. Until it didn't. And it fell apart. In other words, what conventional wisdom, what the narrative is, what Cramer's saying, what CNBC is saying, what they're saying is the greatest investment. What is the greatest investment or idea today is more often than not a lousy investment or idea. There's a guy that hosts the CNBC afternoon show, and I've been invited to come on the program. They want you to give stock picks, and then they bring you back like within a week or two and hold your feet to the fire if the thing has gone up or the thing has gone down. I don't give a damn what it's done over the course of the week. This is why we do well and you do not. You have to be right eventually. Markets, my friends, are never efficient over the short term. Never. I'm going to be honest with you. Many of the major calls that we have made over the years, in particular in regards to market conditions, the overall economic outlook, whatever it may be, oftentimes are contrarian, but were proven true over time. So what does that mean? Time. What does that mean if you're going to be proven over time? Well, it means you're going to have to be patient. One of the most important attributes that one needs to be successful is you need to be patient. If you're not patient, don't invest. Don't invest. I don't know what you're going to do with your money, okay? But don't invest because you will lose. Going to take a Another quick break right here. We got a lot more we got to go over on the program today. Also, I got a bunch of emails I got to get to as well. We're going to discuss watchdogonwallstreet.com. Again, you want to understand our process to a greater degree. You want to work with us, our accountants, our lawyers, and see us in action, what we do for our clients. Get to our website, watchdogonwallstreet.com. That's watchdogonwallstreet.com. Sign up for our personal CFO program right there, watchdogonwallstreet.com, or give us a call, 800-471-5984.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street. The only man who is taking on the Wall Street establishment. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
A little flock of seagulls, 1980s tunes. Welcome back, everybody. It is the one, the only, the Watchdog on Wall Street. Besides patience, talked about being patient. You also have to have a little bit of courage, too. You have to be able to stand in the face of what the maddening crowds are telling you, what the wizard of smart economists and brilliant people on business programs are telling you. Meaning what? You need courage. Sometimes things don't go your way. They don't. You got to stand in the face. Stand in the face of the chattering classes. Stand in the face of the pundits. Got a great example. Financial crisis, 2008, 2009. Equity markets off the rails. Investors did what? They acted out of fear. They acted out of fear, and they made very, very poor choices. Did we have to adjust portfolios during that? Sure. Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. The fundamentals of certain companies that we had in our portfolios changed, and we had to reevaluate certain positions. Did we sell everything and go to cash? No. What courage involves is you have to consider all of the facts. All of the facts. You need to keep emotion out of the decision-making process. Keep it out. Humans, quite frankly, good at that. We got that fight or flight response. Human beings are not hardwired to be good investors. They buy high and they sell low because emotions take over much too easily. Stocks are not, and again, it's unfortunate, but it's what they've turned it into today. Robinhood, all of these online trading things, it's like a video game. It's a video game. You're getting constant, alerts on your phone. Blip, 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 blip. Okay, it's not an electronic blip on the screen. That's not how we treat it. I know you got all these high-frequency traders out there, all that stuff. And quite frankly, I think they've adversely affected the marketplace. Stocks, they're an underlying ownership in companies. You get it? You are part owner, okay? It's not Bitcoin, which is based on nothing. You are part owner in a company. The price of the stock and the overall value of the company can be evaluated based upon what? The money the company makes, what industry they're in, what the expectations are for the future, management. When it comes to managing risk in one's portfolio, it's important to understand that it's okay. Okay, it's okay. Risk is okay. We take risk on every day. That's what we do. We weigh risk and reward. You just don't want your risk to get to a point where it leads to ruin. Nassim Nicholas Taleb, again, one of my favorite risk management experts out there. And he's got to put out a great piece this past week we're going to get into in regards to Bitcoin a little bit on. A line, he said, in a strategy that entails ruin, benefits never offset risks of ruin. Rationality is avoidance of systemic ruin. I've mentioned here again and again on the program, and I catch myself from time to time because it's part of industry jargon, financial planning. Financial plan. I hate that. I don't like the term. I don't. And the reason being is, how does one plan for decades of uncertainty? How does one really know? How do you know when I'm going to retire at this age? Or when you're going to change careers, start a new business? When you're going to find your significant other? We like to think of what we do as part of our personal CFO program and the people that we utilize. We'd rather think of what we do as a process. It's a process where you're going to be able to adapt, change. Right? What was that? Bruce Lee said that? Be water. Adapt to the unknowable terrain of life. Going to take a quick break. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Get there. Become part of the Watchdog on Wall Street family. Our personal CFO program, our podcast, all sorts of great stuff right there. Watchdog on WallStreet.com, or give us a call, 800-471-5984.
You should believe in math, not magic. You're listening to The Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
It's been a long run here on this radio program, and again, I'd like to thank all of our listeners out there. Not to mention, it's great during the summer months. People are out traveling, and they've never heard the show, and they hear it for the first time. And they send me a message, and then they call their local station. You got to get this program. Love that. Love that when that happens. We do. Been doing this radio program for over 2 decades. Been doing our newsletter for even longer. And, hey, listen, okay, I admit I have been behind the eight ball when it comes to writing columns. I really have to delve back into that in this fall. I really do. It's just been slammed with the amount of work that we're doing, all of the people that continue to join our firm. That comes first and foremost, obviously, our clients. But I do love to write, and I have to get back into that again. One of the things that, again, you're going to hear again and again and again, which is fine, okay? Which is fine. We practice fundamentals here on the program. So, yeah, I have to repeat myself. You need to hear it, okay? The poison that is conventional wisdom. Now, again, this poison, it's not limited to economics. It's not limited to finance. It's everywhere. The importance, and again, this is a skill. This is a skill. And I admit, okay, it was in martial arts. My dad was into judo. I remember when we were younger, he could, toss us around and using body weight and all that stuff. I never got into martial arts, but I understand the concept. You got different levels, right? Different belts as you progress, right? You're going to get better and better and better at it. I'm still getting better at it. I got to be honest with you. The better, the more adept that you come at spotting BS, recognizing narratives. Once you do it, it's annoying because you see them everywhere. You see them everywhere. You know, great way, a metaphor, movie The Matrix, where Neo finally could see the Matrix and everything that's around him. You start seeing it, okay? You're recognizing the narratives, the self-destructive strategies that are being pushed on people like yourself. By who? Well, we like to call it here on the program, if you're new, the good old watchdog on Wall Street axis of evil. Big business, politicians, and the media. We take great pride in recognizing and exposing these narratives and these hidden agendas. It's something that you will, again, you listen to the show, become a part of our program, listen to our podcast. You're going to become adept at it as well. Again, I look at the clock. I got to take another break. I'm just delving in, people. We got a lot of stuff we got to go over on today's program. But again, I invite each and every one, if you haven't yet, get to our website, watchdogonwallstreet.com. We actually have stuff there that dates back to when we first started. Account repair kits for people who really got decimated by their bad financial advisor, broker, all sorts of great stuff. But, of course, our personal CFO program, that's what we want you to really take advantage of. Watchdogonwallstreet.com or give us a call, 800-471-5984.
Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street. Bringing America financial freedom one listener at a time. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Wow, I haven't heard of this song in a while. This is, I think, Wham. This is before it was just George Michael. This is both of them, I think. Anyway, great tune. Do like me some George Michael. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. It is the Watchdog on Wall Street show. I talked briefly, and again, this story I've told before here on the program, but stay with me here, okay? Bear with me here. But I don't know, now what, about 18 years ago? Maybe 18 years ago, when I was living in Southwest Florida, started a lacrosse program. Now, again, that's Football Central down there. Started a lacrosse program down there with some other lacrosse junkie friends of mine. Again, pretty foreign to Southwest Florida where I was living. And we started with a group of very young, very raw players, great athletes. But again, they're just learning. And we first started, we'd practice, but then we'd play in a couple tournaments in other areas of the state where they've been playing for a longer period of time. And the kids were not so raw. And guess what? We would get shellacked. I still have a picture. I love it. Their first tournament, and these kids out there, I think we lost every game by 10 goals. And finishing up, it was our last tournament, and I lost all 5 games. It's our first year. I gathered the parents around who were kind of like, what in the world is this? Our kids are getting killed out there. I made the parents a promise. I said, listen, your kids come, they show up to practice, they do what I tell them to do. They do what I tell them to do, not only at practice, but they work practice after practice. Practice after practice. They go home and they work on their fundamentals, which, again, this is what we're all about, focusing on the fundamentals. Embrace the fact, again, one of our underlying themes here, we say again and again and again, everything in life that has meaning, value, and worth involves work, time, and effort. That within 2 years, I told parents within 2 years. Again, we're getting killed by everybody. I said, you do what I tell you to do, what the coaches tell you to do. Within 2 years, we're going to dominate. And more than half of our practices, what do? Focus on the fundamentals: catching, throwing, shooting, proper defense, off-ball movement. Yeah, less than 2 years. Less than 2 years. Nobody could even come close to us. There was an article written about us in the paper. Our season ended. I think the final tallies is we scored like 160, 170 goals in our season. I think gave up 8 the entire season. We had a venture, and again, I said it cost the parents more money. We had a venture to other areas around the country, more hotbeds, so we can actually have some competition. Focus on the fundamentals. Focus on the process. Do you remember the television show, Friday Night Lights? Anybody familiar? It was a great television, my opinion, great television show. It was about a high school football team, small town, Texas. Head coach of the team's guy by the name of Eric Taylor. And he had this phrase that he'd say to his players. I thought it was great. It was great, and it's just it's truth and it's simplicity. Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. What does that mean? Can I say it? Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. Sounds good. What does it mean? See the world. See the terrain. See the obstacles that are in front of you for what they are. Not what you wish they are or what somebody is telling you they are. Right? Accept the challenges. Embrace the challenges. I used to tell it to the kids who are practicing in the heat. You know, it was really hot there and humid. I said, embrace the suck, okay? Embrace the suck. If you do this, you embrace these challenges, you accept these challenges, you do this wholeheartedly, guess what? You can't lose. You can't lose. Everything that I'm talking about today in regards to what I do, this process that we lay out is applicable to just about everything in life. Got it? Everything in life, it's applicable. And again, you know, I can go. There was I go back to my favorite living philosopher and risk management expert, Nassim Nicholas Taleb, and he kind of lists a bunch of things and facts and stuff that I've shared with listeners over the past 20 years. Some realities, like no muscles without strength, no friendship without trust, no opinion without consequence, no age without values, no life without effort, no water without thirst, no food without nourishment, no love without sacrifice, no power without fairness, no facts, again, that's important, without rigor, no statistics without logic, no mathematics without proof, no teaching without experience, no politeness without warmth, no values without embodiment, no degrees without erudition, no militarism without fortitude, no progress without civilization, no friendship without investment, no virtue without risk, no probability without eridicity, no wealth without exposure. Again, skin in the game. No complication without depth. No fluency without content. No decision without asymmetry. No science without skepticism. No religion without tolerance. And nothing without skin in the game. Got to take another break, everybody. Don't go anywhere. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. Become a part of the Watchdog on Wall Street family. Take advantage of everything we have. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com or give us a call, 800-471-5984.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street. Well-known author, investment banker, consumer advocate, analyst, trader. Chris Markowski is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
You want answers?
exposing the lies and myths that the big brokerage firms, the mainstream press, and the government are pushing to keep Americans away from financial freedom.
You can't handle the truth.
Bringing America the truth about what really happens in the financial world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to indulge in fantasy, but in political and economic reality.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
All righty. Welcome back, everybody, to one, the only, the Watchdog on Wall Street show. I want to, some see I told you so moments here. I'm going to talk a little bit about, I know we've been talking a lot about this on the radio show, on the podcast. Inflation. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to also tie this into some, I'm going to pick on one interesting email that I got from one of our listeners this past week who was kind of chiding me in regards to the things that we yell and scream about here on the program. Here's a story. You're paying more for food, and you might not know it. No, guys. I know it, okay? Okay, if you have half a brain, you know it. We already talked about General Mills and Campbell's Soup and Smucker's already raising, telling everybody, hey, we're raising our prices. It is what it is. Chipotle, Denny's, Shake Shack, we're raising our prices. ConAgra, we're raising our prices. But some of the other ways that that companies are dealing with this is there's fewer discounts. Companies are doing fewer promotions. We're also seeing shrinkflation. That's right. Guys, companies are going to have to deal with this, okay? They're actually turning to what is called price pack architecture, changing packaging and sizes while charging more per ounce. Oreo, for example, has an Oreo 2-pack, a new smaller size that costs less but carries a higher profit margin for the company. And I can go on and on. It's an example of inflation that they say just doesn't exist. I have to talk about the fact that, Joe Biden came out this past week, and he said the way that we're going to deal with inflation, I'm not making this up, okay? Most of the news media really kind of ignored this like they normally do because it was just wrong. Just wrong. I remember when I was in high school, I think it was my senior year, we had to choose electives for social studies. Remember social studies? And one of the electives I chose, I don't know if it was a half year. I don't know if it was 10 weeks. I can't remember. But it was economics. And I liked it. I can tell you, back in that econ class, after taking that maybe one semester, 10 weeks of econ back in high school, I would have been able to say, what in the world is the President of the United States talking about? Joe Biden came out this past week, and he's talking about inflation, and it's not his belief. It's not the administration's belief. Our expert, let me get a quote here. Here it is. Our experts believe, and the data shows that most of the price increases we've seen are, and were expected to be temporary. Price increases. We predicted them here on the program, but you didn't predict them. The White House Budget Office forecast 2.1% inflation in 2021 and 2022, which is patently absurd. So either you don't know what you're talking about, Joe, or you're lying to us. It's it can't be both. It can't be both. You can't tell us that this is what you expected, but your budget office said you didn't expect it. Now, the kicker, the real thing that was just remarkable, okay? So President of the United States came out and said that if you pass his budget program and the infrastructure bill, that will tamp down inflation. So going out and spending trillions, And make no bones about it, the budget bill, that $3.5 trillion, when all comes out in the wash, it's going to be closer to $5.5–6 trillion. So Joe Biden is telling you that if he goes out and spends $6 trillion in this budget, and then he gets his $1 trillion plus infrastructure bill besides his human infrastructure budget, that, you know what, that is going to tamp down inflation. He says because we're making some nicer roads and filling the potholes and pre-K and handouts and giveaways, it's going to tamp down inflation. Again, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Again, we saw, and again, this is the disconnect that's out there. This disconnect. We actually saw the 10-year Treasury. What would go down to 1.17 this past week at one point in time? Markets were selling off 1.17. That was the laugh out there. They had the markets sell off, and people are going to the safety of bonds. They're not safe. Okay, how are they safe? How are they safe? Okay, guess what? You'll get if you hold them to maturity, you will get your principal back. Okay? But you're losing money. You're losing money. You got inflation, in my opinion, running hotter than 10%. Risk-free assets, 1.2. We'll just say 1.2%. Which leads me to an email. And I get these from time to time. I do. I get these from some of our listeners from time to time talking about, Chris, you yell and you scream and you rant and rave on the program. And this guy said, you sound like my parents. He says, how about giving us solutions for our money? Where do we get yield? Again, we've been talking about this here on the program. Where do you find yield? What we've been doing. This is nothing new. And we talk about some of the preferred stock portfolios that we put together, how we look there. But there's other strategies as well. We talk about option strategies, the buy right strategy, where you buy certain companies, okay? You buy certain high quality companies, and then you write, which in essence you sell the call options on the same companies. Now, again, some obviously this is not the strategy to do it with individual stocks and individual options. It's not for everyone. But we have put together portfolios and funds that we utilize that do this. One of the ETFs that we use is based upon the S&P 500. No, I'm not giving it here on the program, okay? You want to work with us, you go to our website, you sign up for our personal CFO program, and we'll help you. One of the ETFs we've been dealing with, what was it yielding so far this year? 12-month trailing yield, 11%, using that strategy. That's on the S&P. We also have ones on the NASDAQ. The one on the NASDAQ is actually the 12-month trailing yield, 13.8%. These are strategies that we have utilized, that we have used over the years. Again, not going to see this stuff mainstream. You have to think outside. You have to think outside, outside the box. I hate that phrase, okay? Thinking outside of what everybody else is doing. Inflation has been with us for a long time. A long time. I had my retirement crisis white paper. We went over that on the program, I think last week, if I'm not mistaken. Talking about some of the things that people need to do. The fact that people have got to deal with the terrain. Understand that their money is not worth as much. And I know, I bring it up every single week. Every single week. You do the right thing. You get your $1 million. I want to retire when I'm 62. All of a sudden, you want no risk in the portfolio, and you're getting $12,000 a year. Ugh. Not good. Not good. Not fair. It's not right. Okay. I talk about this. I'm not ranting or raving. You want me to lament this? I don't complain. I deal. You understand? I know I sound excitable here on the program. I want to get you fired up because I want you to be able to deal with the terrain. We deal with it. I look at obstacles. I don't complain. We deal. That's what we do. Because we have high inflation out there, government's lying to you. There's no doubt about that at all. Oh, inflation is transitory. Inflation's not here. Baloney. It's running hotter than 10%. If you use the same metrics that we were using back in the 1970s, it's running hotter than 10%. You want to learn how to deal with it? Simple. Simple. Become a part of our family. Watchdog on Wall Street family at Markowski Investments. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. Take advantage of everything we have right there at the site. Our personal CFO program, our podcast, all sorts of great stuff. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. We'll be back.
Taking Wall Street's liars, crooks, and cheats out behind the woodshed. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street.
So last weekend I was up at the what was like they call it the NLF Club Lacrosse Championships. I was up there at my my youngest son Nico. His team was playing in it. We're up at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. And again, it's great family, lacrosse families, people I've been in contact with. I had I stayed with a good friend of mine, one of the best orthopedic surgeons in Southwest Florida. He was up there with his son and friends of ours from Ohio. It was great. And we're sitting down at dinner, and my friend's son is going to Notre Dame, and he wants to study business there. And he was asking me, starts talking to me about Bitcoin and understanding Bitcoin and wanting to get involved in Bitcoin. And again, I get it. It's a pretty sexy area right now. You've got athletes, you've got CEOs, you've got people talking about it. But again, I want people to understand. I want people to understand that this is one of the riskiest assets ever. I mentioned last hour of the program, Nassim Nicholas Taleb, again, one of the smartest guys, risk management guys in the country, put out a white paper, and it's coming out in Quantitative Finance. I'm sure most of you do not get that publication. Again, not exciting stuff. Bitcoin, currencies, and fragility. And it talks about basically the economic arguments when it comes to cryptocurrencies. And, they break it down to some of the bigger ones out there. And he writes, in its current version, in spite of the hype, Bitcoin failed to satisfy the notion of currency without government. It proved to not even be a currency at all. Can be neither a short nor long-term store of value. Its expected value is no higher than zero. Cannot operate as a reliable inflation hedge. It's already proved that. And worst of all, does not constitute, not even remotely, a safe haven for one's investments. A shield against government tyranny? No. Or tail protection vehicle for catastrophic episodes. Furthermore, Bitcoin promoters appear to conflate the success of a payment mechanism as a decentralized mode of exchange, which so far has failed, with the speculative variations in the price of a zero-sum, maximally fragile asset with massive negative externalities. And he goes through in column the monetary history and various different things. And he breaks down as well. One of the things that I happen to agree with when it comes to money, people, get the gold bugs out there and talking about Nixon and taking us off the gold standard. Well, Could we have stayed on the gold standard? Is there enough gold in the world to keep up with economic growth? Probably not. Taleb writes in his column, same idea that I've had here on the program. If you want to back a currency, why not do a basket of commodities? Why just gold? Most of the physical gold that's out there, quite frankly, is used for jewelry. Yeah, it has a few industrial uses, but most of it is for jewelry. How come up with a basket of commodities? What about lithium? What about cobalt? Oh, what about all these things that we need to use every single day? That would be a much better vehicle. Now, what's going to happen talking about cryptos? You're talking them down. You're down talking. I've had that happen before. I'll talk about cryptocurrencies. I'll talk about the speculative nature, the risk that's involved, and people will send me nasty emails. I don't know what I'm talking about. You know how many times in my career I've been told I don't know what I'm talking about? Huh? How many times? How many times these people that told me that have been right? Never. I do know what I'm talking about. All right? You have to break this thing down. There's storage of value, and the technology is awesome. Do you understand what technology is? Well, what is your definition of technology? To me, technology is something that makes the world better. Makes the world better. And Taleb writes, this is, he talks about the attributes of blockchain. He's like, oh, blockchain. He says there are few assets in financial history that have been more fragile than Bitcoin. And the standard argument is that Bitcoin has its flaws, but we are getting a great technology. Wow. We're going to do wonders with the blockchain. No. You show me the evidence that you're getting a great technology. Okay? Great technology means useful. Okay? Great technology means something of use. And I talk about technology all the time here on the program because they love to call certain companies tech companies. Uber's a tech company. No, it's not. It's not a tech company, okay? It is a taxi company with an app. That doesn't make it a tech company. In spite of all the fanfare, okay, what have they done with the blockchain? What? And Taleb ends his piece. He calls it again, he's from Lebanon, but again, he calls it a Damascus joke here from Syria. One vendor was selling the exact same variety of cucumbers at two different prices. Why is this one twice the price? The merchant was asked. Well, they came in higher quality mules was the answer. You judge a technology by how it solves problems, not by what technological attributes it has. And too many people are doing that with Bitcoin and coming up with this, that, the next thing, and how wonderful and how great this thing is. People, okay, think about this for a second. Bitcoin is not a currency. They say, I accept Bitcoin. No, they don't. Okay, they take the Bitcoin and they have to convert it into what? Euros or dollars. That's what they do. They don't keep it lying around, okay? As soon as somebody says, I accept Bitcoin, yeah, and they're flipping it right away. They're getting out of it. That's not a real currency, people. Do you understand? It's a construct. It's a belief system. And make no bones about it. There's going to be people that do quite well. I know there's people that made a lot of money on this. Like, what was it, that old Steve Miller song there? Take the money and run? Take the money and run. And I listen to people, I don't know. They're thinking be at 50,000 next week. Again, that proves my point that it's not a currency. Currencies don't move like this. Because if they do, they're not currencies. They're not reliable. Anyway, again, try to get this across to people. You want to take a little money and you want to speculate. Your gambling part of your portfolio, your super speculative part, have at it. But again, understand that, you could wake up one day and it's gone. And it's gone. Got to take a break. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. Take advantage of all the great stuff that we have at our site, our personal CFO program, all sorts of great stuff, our podcast, WatchDogOnWallStreet.com, or give us a call, 800-471-5984.
You're my only reason. You're my only truth.
Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street. This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
In a bit of a follow-up, I know we covered this last week on the program. We talked about, Columbia University and the costs of the graduate degrees and NYU and these other places. The Wall Street Journal actually, they actually put together it's kind of like a little, I don't want to call it widget, whatever it may be, on their website. That allows you to look up what students earn after graduation and compare it to their debt load. That's right. And again, this is useful. Like I said, an education is a tool, and you have to evaluate the cost, the price of that tool. Is an example of how it works. University of Southern California and California State University, Long Beach, both located in LA. Each offer a master's in public health. That's a degree that has gotten popular during the pandemic. Now, the students' median earnings 2 years after graduation at every one of the 123 schools that offer a master's in public health. Recent graduates of the California State University, Long Beach, and the University of Southern California made what? Similar incomes. But USC graduates left school with 2.5 times as much debt as Cal State Long Beach grads. So USC's debt-to-income ratio is far greater than Cal State Long Beach. The higher the ratio, the higher the debt is compared to the income students earn after graduation. Of course, USC says, well, we got to see what happens down the road. Right, sure. Again, you need to take the cost of higher education. You need to take it into consideration. And I know I've said it once. I've said it 1,000 times here on this program. Good parents don't let their kids get in over their heads when it comes to student loan debt. Okay? You don't do it. Hey, and again, if you can afford it, if you can afford to send your kid to the fanciest school out there to get some degree in 14th century Russian literature because they're really interested in it, fine. But don't let your kids take on debt to get that degree. Do you understand? Anyway, you know what? We'll talk a little bit about budgets. What Biden is pushing. This grand compromise, which is not really a compromise. This cost here, $3.5 trillion budget proposal. The reality is the real budget costs are going to be over $5 trillion. Over $5 trillion. If you take a look at what the Democrats have put out when it comes to this budget, it's nothing. It's an incomplete. It's all bare bones, okay? Bare bones stuff. No details whatsoever. But lots of ideas out there. Tax credits, new entitlements, more money for health care, climate and housing. Some categories include this revealing caveat. Quote, the duration of each program's enactment will be determined based on scoring and committee input. That's Washington speak for admitting that the budget will be built on phony assumptions and gimmicks. Democrats know their proposed tax hikes and dubious pay-fors won't come close to fully funding every major program that Biden has asked for. Not even close. Okay. Wall Street Journal analysis this past week. Again, what happens is they say, oh, we're just going to start small with this program. It's going to start small, and it's just going to be temporary. What a load of bunk. Again, I throw this out there. Name me the entitlement, government entitlement, United States of America that has ever been cut. That has ever been cut. Never. I don't believe in the slightest that Republicans wanted to repeal and replace Obamacare. I just think that was just talk. Yeah, but McCain had the thumbs down. He didn't like Trump. No. If it wasn't McCain, it would have been somebody else. Wasn't McCain, it would have been somebody else. I had this sent to me by one of my listeners, and it was funny. You talk about handouts and giveaways here in this country and how many of these handout giveaway programs are all, oh, look at how many people we put on the food stamp program. Remember Nancy Pelosi talking about the best stimulus for our economy is unemployment. What? Well, the food stamp program, they're always proud. Oh, we got all these people on there. U.S. Department of Agriculture. You want the irony of irony of the entire thing? And it's just kind of funny. The National Park Service, which is administered by the U.S. Department of the Interior, asks us, please do not feed the animals. And their stated reason for the policy is because the animals will grow dependent on handouts and will not learn to take care of themselves. Yeah, the irony. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Again, become part of the Watchdog on Wall Street family, personal CFO program, podcast, all sorts of great stuff there at our site, Watchdog on WallStreet.com, or give us a call, 800-471-5984.
The only man who is taking on the Wall Street establishment. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
I want you to put this into perspective here. You get the high priest. Yes. The high priests from Cambridge, from the NBER, the National Bureau of Economic Research. These high priests, they tell us when recessions start and when recessions end. They came out and they said that the recession in 2020 ended in April of 2020. It was 2 months. It was the shortest recession on record. Okay. You can look at this a couple different ways. For some people out there that were put out of work because the government won't let them work, they could care less what the NBER says. They got hit. They got hit hard. But again, let's look at this from another point. I want everybody to get their arms around the trillions of dollars that have been spent in the myriad forms of handouts and giveaways and assistance and all that good stuff, right? Let's comprehend that. Was it worth it for a 2-month recession? Again, what if it was a 4-month recession? What if it was a 5-month? What if it lasted even longer? How much more should we have spent? Anyway, I mentioned one of my favorite all-time, it's like philosophy / finance / life lesson book is Anti-Fragile by Taleb. Andy Kessler, time to time, I go back and forth with here on the show. I agree with him more often than not. He had a great piece about how How to be an anti-capitalist. That's right. How to be an anti-capitalist. How to suck air out of the economy. Oh, he starts off, you start by being an anti-capitalist. You start by paying people not to work. Let's pay people to do nothing. That's right. 1.8 million people. These are people that admitted to it. Now you get your arms around it. 1.8 million people admitted that, I'm not going back to work because they're getting all this extended unemployment out there. Yeah. 1.8 million. The ones who just admitted to it, turning down jobs due to unemployment benefits. This is why, Burger King right now offering $1,500 signing bonuses. Oh, and anti-capitalists, they do a lot more too, right? Oh, we got an energy independent country. Yay! It's like we won the game. We won the game and we said, nah, you know what? We just won the Super Bowl, but you know what? We're going to replay it again. So you know what anti-capitalists also do? They shut down pipelines. Except, of course, Russian ones. Got to take a break. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com, WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street. You should believe in math, not magic. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Welcome back. A little Stevie Wonder for you here on the Watchdog on Wall Street show. Hey, we won. We won. I mean, go back to the oil embargoes and OPEC and the gas lines back from the 1970s and all of the foreign conflicts, the wars that we had to fight, the stuff we had to get involved with because we rely upon oil being the lifeblood of the world, right? Anybody think that we would have gotten involved in Iraq with that Iraq-Kuwait conflict under George H. if we were energy independent? No, probably not. Probably a pretty good chance that we wouldn't have. So we won. We won. It's like we won the Super Bowl. And rather than accept the trophy, we say, we're going to play the game again. Why would you do that? You already won. We're shutting down pipelines. Take a look at the price of oil, above $70 a barrel. It's not necessary. I know you get all the lefties out there talking about their wind and their solar, but the best energy option out there is nuclear. The technology that's available today is unbelievable. I don't know if you're aware of this, but they shut down a few months ago. I think we mentioned on the program, they shut down the Indian Point nuclear power plant here in New York. And Mayor Bill de Blasio has been asking New Yorkers to cut back on energy usage during a heat wave. Hey, maybe you shouldn't have shut that plant down. Kessler talks about anti-capitalists. What they would do is they'd also restrict capital formation. Again, we could talk about this in terms of what? Taxes. Talked about this on the podcast, talked about this a little bit last week on the radio show. Understanding risk reward, right? Risk reward. Am I going to put money at risk? Well, how much money am I putting at risk? And what is my risk? How much can I make based upon this decision? Oh, wait a second. I'm going to make that much. Sounds great. But let's add on the fact that, you know what? Joe Biden and the crew in Washington is going to take half of what I'm going to make. Nah. I'd rather not invest. So we got the administration raising the top capital gains rate from 23.8% to 43.4%. Again, insane. Absolutely insane. Spending. Anti-capitalists in Congress pushing $3.5 trillion in spending unrelated to infrastructure. And again, they call it human infrastructure, which is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Human infrastructure. Oh, yeah, we also got climate provisions in there as well. Did you see this? Did you see this? They want to come up, I'm not kidding, with a civilian climate corps. Oh, yeah. Civilian climate corps. Here we go. We got government jobs where you do nothing. It's the equivalent of digging holes and filling them in. Civilian climate corps. Are you going to dress them in brown shirts too? What is this civilian climate corps going to do? They're going to go out into the fields and try to collect cow farts? Yeah, civilian. Oh, it's going to be wonderful. And they're going to be out there and they're going to be touting the wonders of green. Shut up. It's nonsense. Anti-capitalists, they do what? They limit speech. They throw open the border, right? They mess around with education because guess what? Math is racist. Western civilization is racist. Science is racist. It's not important getting the right answer anymore. Anti-capitalists ruin healthcare. Anti-capitalists defund the police, causing crime rates to go through the roof. Again, I know I'm talking about near where not near where I live, but far. Okay? A whole other world, New York City right now. Oh, yeah, they got open air drug markets, Washington Square Park. Cops can't do a darn thing. Some guy was organizing, I kid you not, boxing matches in Washington Square Park with the drug use. I'm not making this up. The streetwalkers are back. The hookers are back on the street as well, right? I'm not going to do anything. This is good for the city. It's good for business. Cities and suburbs have homeless encampments and crime during the daytime. I don't know if you saw the video. I'm sure we saw the video from a couple weeks ago with I think it was at a CVS or a Walgreens in San Francisco. Just people just stealing stuff, nobody stopping them. Did you see the people going right into a TJ Maxx, walking, grabbing as much stuff as they could possibly carry, not running, walking out. Just walking out. Nobody's doing anything. Again, in San Francisco, shoplifters, if they steal less than $950, you're right. Not going to do anything. It's classified as a misdemeanor. Meaning what? Meaning nothing. This is, again, you try to explain to me how this is good for the overall economy, how this is good for capitalism, how this is good for growth. Okay? It's not. In the State and Revolution, 1917, Vladimir Lenin wrote that the economic aim of socialism was to organize the whole economy on the lines of the postal service. More than a century later, hey, you know what? We're on it. Yeah, we're going to have a postal-like government, massive deficits, old technology, long lines, unaccountable executive orders, and unproductive union jobs for all. Where, yes, you can be a union cow fart collector. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. We'll be back.
Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street.